Okay, so it is part 2. Now, I'm still actually working on liner and then even some of these sketch frames for like some in-betweens for some more complex animation bits. But I did want to go through and talk about a couple of things that I would recommend doing for if you're making an animated short. First of all, make sure your character designs are animatable. My normal style, I'll pull up image in just a second or maybe pop one on screen, is not really a great one for animating. I'd have to strip it down quite a bit to make it manageable for animation. So I made sure to design these characters with animation in mind. I wanted them to be easy to kind of sketch out quickly and then easy to do the line art for and make them look consistent, because with a more complex style, it can be harder to get all of the details and to make the character and their design look consistent throughout the animation. In a lot of my older animations, when I first started out, a character, like their hair, or well, fur, because I was mostly drawing animals at that point, would look very different from frame 1 to frame 5, and it would kind of make the animation flow look really weird. So it's important to try at least to make the characters recognizable, and you don't want them to be like overly simplistic, because I did have an issue with that earlier on. I would make all my characters very, very simplistic because it was easier to animate, but you want your character to look distinctive while also being easy to animate. I think those are important things for when you're animating. Not to mention, you want to, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this, but you want to make sure the animation flow looks good without bogging yourself down. A big thing I and a lot of other animators had issues with at points in time are making or feeling like you need to make every single scene super complex and super like crazy movements all over the place for it to be a good animation, but that's not how it actually has to be. You'll notice there are a lot of hold frames or freeze frames in this animation. The characters are not always moving, and I think that that's something that you should take advantage of, because it makes the time for animating way less, for one, but also I feel like it can kind of be a little weird when like every single scene the character's moving like crazy, and then also it gives you more time to like focus on scenes where there is more movement, and the movements don't even need to be crazy. Like right here, I'm not going through every single frame on this, but this is just a character like falling down to their knees, and it's not a crazy movement, but considering most of the shots are very minimal movements, when there is a bigger movement like this, it kind of feels a little more impactful, and I think that that's a cool storytelling element that people should take more advantage of, because I don't see people do that. Also, small movements are impactful as well. I feel like a lot of people kind of don't really pay attention to the fact that you can use small movements to make impactful scenes. Like right here, this, you would think, oh, maybe that's a lot of different frames, so there's a big movement. But no, this is literally just the character's eyes very slightly, like, I'm not even sure if you can pick it up on camera because of the sketch underneath, but it's just this character's eyes slightly wobbling, and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's a very small movement, but I think it makes it a lot more interesting than if this was just plain one single frame. I don't think it would kind of capture the emotion that's supposed to be behind it. But adding in that just very faint wobble to the irises and then the little eye bags and wrinkles and stuff gives it more emotion, and you can feel kind of like the fear creeping through, if that makes any sense. But when it comes to animation, I think there's a lot of nuances to it. There's a lot of different stuff that's not taught. I see a lot of people talk about the technical side of animation, but they don't really talk about the storytelling side of it, because you do have to keep that in mind, especially if you're trying to animate a story or you're trying to animate some sort of message into whatever you're doing, but you have to keep in mind storytelling and different ways that shots can be done to tell different stories, and the way that they can kind of impact things. It depends. I also think, like I said, character design is important for this as well. Having clear character designs and having kind of a clear sense of a character can be really important for storytelling as well, and I think it also can be really cool because it makes subverting things very interesting in animation, because you can have a character whose body language and shape language says one thing, but then the actual actions of that character says another, and I think that can be a really cool storytelling element, not only in animation but also for like comics and stuff like that. But anyway, I feel like these are just some things that I think you should take advantage of if you're also making a short, or just some of my rambly thoughts about what is cool to do in an animation. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video and try and get a couple more frames done on this before I have to start work, but yeah.